Alright, welcome back to Trimble Tech. In this video we are going to be installing Ubuntu 22.10 inside of Virtualbox. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and create a new virtual machine. I've already got my ISO downloaded, so I'm going to go ahead and select where that is located. I've got it right here in Ubuntu 22.10. This is the ISO file. This is the latest and greatest version of Ubuntu. I'm using Virtualbox Manager 7.0, and the really cool thing about it is that there is an unintended install feature. We're not going to do that today, but if you wanted to skip some steps, we can do a separate video with that as well. Just hit some thumbs up and let me know in the comments if you would like to get that installed. Alright, so let's keep going. I am skipping the unintended install. And let's see, I'm going to skip that. And we're going to call this Linux Ubuntu 64-bit. I'm going to expand the hardware here. And I'm going to give my machine 8 gigs of RAM or 8,192 megabytes. For my CPUs, I'm going to give it at least 2, just to give it some breathing room here. And from a hard drive, I'm going to make it about 50 gigabytes and make it dynamic. That way, I can expand it if I needed, and I got plenty of room for future capacity. Hard disk type, I am going to choose VDI, VirtualBox Disk Image, keep that native, and I'm going to go ahead and click on Finish. But before I do that, there's a couple more tweaks that I want to make here. I'm going to go ahead and just take a look at some of my options here. Now, I've got advanced. If I wanted to do a shared clipboard, I could choose bidirectional. If I wanted to do drag and drop, I can also do bidirectional. Shared clipboard means I can copy and paste from my host machine into my guest machine, and then drag and drop. Again, I can drag and drop from my guest to host and my host to guest. If I wanted to add some type of description here, I could do that one, right? So I could say this is my Ubuntu 22.10 box for testing cybersecurity malware. Let's see, I'd say, login. I could give a login name. I could do a password. I could do root, right? And then again, that's for me. You can choose whatever you want to do as well. And then at the bottom, you see that my description is populated with this information. I am going to change a couple more things. For my network, I'm going to go ahead and choose a NAT network. And I'm going to keep it at 1 network card for now. Audio, I'm going to keep that as default. Let's see. Everything else should be fine with the default things. I'm going to go ahead and increase the RAM to 128 megabytes because I'm going to be installing the VirtualBox guest editions as well. I'm also going to add a shared folder, right? That way I can also copy stuff from my host machine to my guest machine. And with this out of the way, I am good to go ahead and start it. So let's go ahead and power on Ubuntu. Clicking on the start button here. It's going to take a second. There are a couple nice little tweaks inside of VirtualBox 7. I'm going to do try or install Ubuntu and just press enter here. To make this bigger, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just switch it into scaled mode for now. And if you want to get out of scale mode, go ahead and press the host and the C key. And for me, my host and my C key is my right control key. Don't forget that. But for this, I'm going to be able to make it bigger, as you see, right? And then once I get the guest tools installed, it'll be easier to read as well. Let me, yep, the date is right, the 16th. I'm going to go ahead and say continue. And let's see, what apps would you like to start with? I'm going to choose a normal install. And if you had any type of special graphics card, like an NVIDIA card or AMD or a Wi-Fi card, I could choose this one as well. And then I could go ahead and have those drivers ready to go whenever my machine was done installing. A nice time saver here. All right. When it comes to the install type, I'm going to keep it as the default, and I'm going to choose to erase the disk and install Ubuntu. And here it's going to ask you, hey, would you really like to commit? Your answer is going to be yes, I do want to commit. I'm going to go ahead, partition and erase this hard drive. I'm choosing the ext4 file system. All right, when it comes to the time zone, I am in Chicago, CST. I'm going to go ahead and give my name. And for my computer, I'm just going to call it Ubuntu. That name already exists on the network. Okay, I'll call it Ubuntu VM. I'm going to give it a nice strong password as well. And this is my only account that I'm going to be using on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and log on automatically. I'm the only user on this machine. Alright, and as you see in the background, it had already started to copy the files. Again, they do think of a lot of stuff. If you ever want to, see more, you can see the verbose mode if you expand that arrow there, and just to see what's going on. So this shouldn't take too much longer. There we go. It is almost copying the files. Now as you see, it really is a fast install for the most part. You really got to hand it to Ubuntu for making this very painless. It also helps that I have a pretty decent operating system. I am currently running an AMD 7950X, so I've got about 16 cores and 32 threads, so I've got plenty of breathing room. This is a great machine for hosting lots of virtual machines for all the classes that I teach. And right now it is connecting out to the internet and getting newer versions of packages. And the great thing with Ubuntu 22.10 is that it now has support for, it's got the snaps, but I think you can also choose to get some flat packs in there as well. And flat packs are nice because they're basically all-in-one packages with all the dependencies built in. There's no extra third-party software that you have to go and install. And since this is a virtual machine, it's going ahead and configuring the hardware just like it would do on a physical bare metal machine. And now we're in the part of the install where it's cleaning up extra stuff, getting rid of all the cruft, so that we'll have a nice fast system when this is ultimately finished here. All right, looks like all the packages are installed. Looks like it's got a pretty recent version of the kernel. Looks like we're at what, 5.19 here. And it will look a lot better whenever we do install the guest editions. We'll get the niceties of being able to resize our windows, make it pretty, make it much easier on the eyes than this scaled version. The scaled version is nice, but let's go ahead and restart and finish the setup. So it says to remove the install medium. I'm going to go ahead and press the Control and the C key here, and I'm going to go to Devices, Optical Disc, and I'm going to looks like the disk has already been removed. That's cool. They did that for me. I'm going to go ahead and press Enter. And now I should be able to boot into the operating system, and it should log me in with my account. And it did that. And this is the typical setup here. If you are using Google, you can have your calendar, documents, and photos start to sync up. If you've got your own version of the cloud, like Nextcloud, you can do that as well. If you're a Microsoft user, you can also sign into your Microsoft and get your email set up as well. But I'm going to skip that for now, and I'm not going to send any information to Canonical at this point in time. I am going to enable location services, and then you see I've got lots of other software that I can choose to install. I've got Zoom, I've got Visual Studio, I've got Microsoft Teams, right? I've got OBS, Discord. So this thing is pretty much ready to go out of the box. But we're not done. We're going to go ahead and insert the guest editions CD image here. All right, it has been installed. I'm now going to copy these files over to my machine. I'm going to say later for these updates. But what I want to do now is I want to install these guest editions here. I'm just making a folder called Virtualbox, and I pasted those files in here. I don't need all the files. The main files I care about are the VBox Linux editions here. So next thing I want to do is I want to go to Terminal, right? And the command that I want to run is going to be, let me pull up my notes here. Let's see. Here we go. Guest editions. Here we go. So what I want to do is I want to type sudo apt install build essential dkms linux headers $$ and then uname -r, and then press enter, type in my password, and then press yes. And this is the first step I got to do to get my guest tools installed. Shouldn't take very long. Looks like less than 1 minute here. It looks like it is installing or updating the GCC compiler. All right, that was easy enough. So let's go ahead and let's go to where my VirtualBox tools are. All right, and you see I'm going to go ahead and make this package executable VBox Linux editions.run. So I'm going to do chmod +x, and I'm going to say VBox Linux editions.run. Right, now I'm going to go ahead and run it. I'm going to type sudo and then vbox. There we go. And the installer has begun. And then once the installer is done, it's going to go ahead and ask me to reboot. And then when I reboot, my guest editions should be installed. Alright, it says running kernel module will not be replaced until system is restarted. Let's go ahead and restart the system. Alright, I have restarted. Let's go ahead and expand the screen. And as you see, when I expanded the screen, I've got my full resolution here, which is very nice. You can see this is the new settings screen in Ubuntu. This is my appearance. I've got a default, I've got a dark mode. I can change my background. They got some really nice ones in here. That's really nice. I think I'm going to settle on this deer. I like that, or this antelope, or whatever it is. And you see I've got my full resolution here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on some fractional scaling here. Again, it's going to make it just a little bit more readable, more easy on the eyes as well. And you also see if you get this right here where you're not able to map or see your shared folder, we have a fix for you. I'm going to go ahead and right click on this, add to my favorites. You see my terminal is in here, and what I want to do is I want to say user mod-a-g vbox-sf, and I'm going to add my account. Oops, forgot to do my sudo. There we go. Type in my password. Alright, let me clear this out. I might have to restart. Let me see. Yep, let me go ahead and restart here, and then I should be able to, let's see what the restart is. There we go, restart here, restart here. You see it does remember my full screen. Let's go ahead and see if I have access to my downloads, my mapped folder, and then boom, there I do. There I go. So my virtual machine is up and running, and now that I have it in a good state, what I want to do is I'm going to take a snapshot, right? I'm going to say Ubuntu 22.10 installed. I'm going to say guest editions are installed, and fully functional. And I'm going to say OK. All right, that is installing Ubuntu 22.10. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.